everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the KickBack. You're with me, AlehStair. This is episode 5 now, but as always, before we get into anything and explain the gent we have, please do remember to leave a like, a comment, and a nice subscription as well. We've hit 30, so 70 more till 100. I want to hit at least 100 by the end of the year. Ideally more, but if you set your bar low enough, then you'll definitely get it, is basically the case of that. And then embarrassing if you don't get it. So without any further ado, in the guest here today, it's weird. It's because you're the only guy I've actually sort of spoken to previously, like properly. The closest to that before was Limo. So in the guest seat today, we have Mckins FM. I don't know if you still have the FM in your name. Is that still about?
The FM's still there. Ideally, I want to take it out, but Twitch already has a Mckins, and so does Twitter. So I think the FM's here to stay for now. But yeah, it's been a long time coming, isn't it? We tried to set this up for a while, and lots of issues, lots of life getting in the way. But here we are. We can do it finally. I'm excited to do it.
It is good to have you in. And before we start questioning you about things, just want to say congratulations on the year on Twitch. The draft was really fun, apart from when I got kicked out and missed on 2 key players that would have definitely had me beating you if I'd got them in.
Yeah, it's been a ride this year. Started last August. It was yesterday, exactly a year ago, that I started streaming. And I started to 0 viewers, didn't really know what I was doing. And yeah, it's I would say it's been quite a successful year so far. I'm proud of how things are going.
Yeah, good to hear, man. And we'll definitely get into that a little bit later into the podcast. But we'll start it off how we always start every podcast off. What moment in your life did you see something in football and it just sort of took your breath away and had you thinking, okay, this is the sport for me?
So when I was at primary school, I wasn't into football at all. And I think because my dad is a huge football fan, he's a big Chelsea fan, and football's been like a huge part of his life. And he used to play football kind of not professionally, but like semi-ish. And he's been well into it. And I've recently, because it's been my 30th birthday recently, I've like seen loads of pictures of me as a baby wearing like loads of Chelsea gear when I was like 2 months old or whatever, which is quite weird to see because I never thought that he did that to me. But at primary school, I didn't like football at all. It was my best friend, actually, coming to like the end of year 6, going into secondary school. He won't be watching, but hi, John, if you're watching. He was a huge football fan. He was on the school football team, and he was a big Liverpool fan. And it was hanging out with him really that got me into the sport. And it was like early secondary school, kind of year 7, year 8, year 9, where it started to become a bit of an obsession for me. And it was like every single moment and every single day, I was either doing something football-y or thinking something football-y, to the point where, as a Swindon fan, every team that came to the county ground, these random teams, I would know all of the players. I would know how old they are. I would know their life history, basically. And everyone around me would be like, how do you know who this person is? And I'd be like, well, it's Championship Manager. Like, the amount of hours I play on the game, because of that, the obsession of football just started to grow. And my first ever game that I went to was Arsenal versus Liverpool at the Millennium Stadium. It was in the Charity Shield. It must have been 2002, 2003-ish. And I remember it was Gilberto Silva's debut for Arsenal.
Yeah.
And it was, Arsenal won the game 1-0 and he scored on his debut as well. And obviously, as a Liverpool fan at the time, it was a bit heartbreaking. But yeah, my first experience of a football ground was a sold-out Millennium Stadium, and it made me think, do you know what? Like, this is crazy. It's insane. We were way up, like, in the heavens, and I'm not a fan of heights.
Yeah.
So the whole game, I was thinking, I just don't want to fall. I don't want to fall down. But yeah, the atmosphere was insane, and from there, football has just been my thing for my whole life. It's all I do, really. It's all I think about.
Fair enough. So how does supporting Liverpool caveat into Swindon? Like, at what point did you decide to just torture yourself by supporting
with both teams, really? Yeah. I'm sure Liverpool was just purely because of my best friend at the time. He was Liverpool mad, and so I almost think it was his influence that got me into Liverpool. It wasn't the fact that they were winning things, because at that time they didn't win anything. This was before the Champions League 2005 win. So I remember my first memory of watching Liverpool on the telly it must have been, I think it was the Carling Cup final against Man United. again, around about the same time, 2002-ish. And again, Liverpool lost that game. So they kept losing at the time. So it wasn't the fact that they were winning. But yeah, for some reason, because my best mate, I used to just quite like Liverpool and got well into it. And then obviously I'm from Swindon.
Yeah.
And so you've got to kind of support your local team, haven't you, really?
Yeah, to a degree.
To a degree, yeah. I used to go kind of mid-teens with friends at school because the tickets then used to be like a £5. I don't know if they're the same price anymore for juniors, but everyone used to be like, I used to be the guy who used to go and get the tickets. So I used to be to everyone, basically in the year group, give me a £5, I'll get you a ticket for the weekend. So I used to go down to the ticket office on a Thursday after school and be like, can I have 12 tickets for the game at the weekend, please? And yeah, it just went from there, and I'd start going every game. I've had a season ticket now for probably about 16 years.
Ooh.
And it's, supporting Swindon is definitely a ride.
Yeah, it's not been the easiest
to say the least
for the club, hasn't it, right now? I mean, I think you've just had a takeover, so it might get better, but there was real like worries of you pulling a berry, essentially.
Yeah, let me take you on a little journey. So 15 years being a Swindon fan, we've been relegated 4 times in that time. Promoted 3 times, twice as champions. We've been in the playoffs 3 times, got to the final at Wembley twice, lost both times. Never won in the playoffs. Been taken over about 4 times. I know any football fan would say that supporting their team is a roller coaster, but being a Swindon fan, it actually is. It is a roller coaster. So yeah, we've recently been taken over. There's a little bit of optimism about the place for the first time in a long time. Our chairman of about 7 years, who I won't name him, but yeah, he's not well liked in Swindon. Let's say we finally got rid of him. We got somebody in who brought a bit of freshness around the place. So he's trying to get the fans back on side, doing all the little things like all the communication via social media is a lot better. He's been out and he's been painting the stadium, like little things just to improve the place.
Yeah.
And the fans already are like, do you know what? This man likes us, and he's like, we've got him on side. So
yeah, it must be nice after that to come across one who actually kind of gives a shit in that regard.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, for so many reasons, the old chairman just wasn't liked by anybody. There was so much going on that we didn't know. Like, it was all very secretive. We didn't even know if he had total control of the club. Communication was poor from him. Everything. Something just didn't add up. The signings he made, something wasn't right there. And even from the start, everyone knew it. So we're now pleased that he's gone. We've got someone fresh in. It's not about the money, because I don't think he's particularly loaded. It's not about that. It's just about the fact that he's been here for 2 weeks now already, and everything that he's doing to get the fans back on side, it seems to be working. And obviously, we had our first league game at the weekend against Scunthorpe last week, won it.
Yeah.
So, we never win away games, Swindon. So, it's a really good start.
It's very similar to my old local team where I was growing up, which was Port Vale. Now, they had a dude in. I think everyone called him Smurf. His name was Norman. I think it was Smurthwaite or something like that. And he was just stripping the club, and it was heavily rumoured that he was trying to get the club relegated into the National League, so he could then say, we can't afford the pitch in the stadium, rent one off the council, level that, and build flats where it was. And he failed in the relegation. They only just survived. And some local, I think they're the Sheridans, I'm not too sure if that is, but they came in and inquired to buy it. He put the price at something like 5 million, which was about 1 or 2 million over what it was actually worth to put them off. And they said sure, because they are funds themselves, and there's been quite a turnaround there in getting it back to sort of that family atmosphere, so that's quite good. And it seems like the Swindon situation's quite similar in that one. It's a shame to see that sort of thing going on. You get it at all, levels of football, but Newcastle have bad owners, but I don't think Mike Ashley's going to do anything like that.
No, you just never know who to trust these days, do you? Like, some guys come in and have big success, and you can trust them. But most people nowadays are just they're so secretive, and they don't want the fans to know what's going on, that you just never know what's happening. And I think the big word that our new chairman said when he came in on the first day was transparency. Yeah. He wants us to know exactly what's going on behind the scenes. And already our Twitter feed has just gone off in the last couple of weeks. It basically could have been redundant the last couple of years because it was never used. But the last couple of weeks, every day we're getting updates on how many season tickets are sold, how many shirts are sold. Yeah. They're replying to all the fans' comments, which has never happened before. And it all just seems very open. And that's what we want. We want to know what's going on.
No, that sounds good. That sounds good. I guess from your own personal sort of football journey as someone, I'm not too sure if you played yourself at all. If you did play or still do play, what's the position? Says a lot about a person.
Yeah, so I never really played properly for a club, to be honest. A lot of my time was spent down the local park just hanging out. Like my whole childhood and my teens was 50% playing Football Manager and 50% like at the local park. And it was never a massive agreement. It was just like, that's where we go. There was a group of like 100 people. If you could come, you could come. If you couldn't, you couldn't. Yeah. We just turn up at like 4:00 on this field every day. And whoever was there, we just have a match. And it was just, that was almost like the best time of my life. Like looking back, it was just so cool to go out every day and just hang out and play football. I was a right back.
Okay.
I'd like to think I was adventurous and attacking, but every time I went forward, it would take me half an hour to get back again.
Yeah.
For a guy that's 6'4", not very good in the air.
You're 6'4". I didn't know that.
No, lots of people don't know that. I'm not going to stand up for you, but believe me, I'm quite tall. But yeah, not great in the air. Always used to score more own goals than actual goals. Then again, I did have Jamie Carragher on the back of my Liverpool shirt, so that was probably the reason why.
Yeah.
So yeah, I now kind of play five-a-side. We try and do it every other week, but it doesn't really work out like that. But yeah, I play a bit with STFC Martin 23.
I know. Martin.
Yeah, so we still hang out quite a lot. We still play football quite a lot. But yeah, I'd like to play more, but just life, I guess, isn't it? Just life.
Yeah, I guess between obviously working full time, streaming as well, and everything that goes on behind with that, it's a little bit. It's not exactly just turning on a camera, which I think a lot of people who don't stream think it is, and it's definitely what I thought it was before I started.
We could talk about that all day, couldn't we? Streaming is definitely not as easy as people think.
Well, I guess this caveats quite nicely into, streaming for you. Obviously, it was a year yesterday, 366 days strong.
Yeah.
What led to that day, that moment, 366 days ago?
So I've watched Football Manager content for, I would say, about 3 or 4 years now. It was originally on YouTube, and it was the guys that you would expect. So like the Dr. Benjis, the Lelujos, the Loki Dokis. I never really realised that Football Manager content was a thing.
Yeah.
Until I saw them and thought, I mean, they're amazing at what they do. Like, they're really good at making videos. They're really kind of engaging people, engaging content creators. And I never thought that I could do anything like what they do. And it was over the first lockdown last year when I kind of discovered Twitch and what it was. And I started to have a look at Twitch, and I was thinking, there are some guys on here who have like 500 followers, which is a ridiculous amount. And they were just kind of sitting there and not really doing a lot. And there was no one in the chat, and they were just silent. And I was like, if these guys can sit there and get 500 followers by doing nothing, I think I could do better than that.
Yeah.
Like, what they're doing is so almost lazy in a way. They could be doing so much more here if they're like genuinely serious about doing this. So I was like, do you know what? If I think I can do better than this, let's get a webcam, let's get a microphone and just try it for a bit.
Yeah.
And so it was like around about my birthday last year in the August time. And I was like, right, I've got some kit. I'm going to do this for like 5 days. I'll probably realize that nobody's going to watch and I'll just give up. Like, genuinely, that was my mindset. Look, I'm going to do it. I'll try and enjoy it for a few days. And then I'll go back to school in September. Like, I'm a teacher, just if people don't know. And
that could be taken the wrong way.
Just saying. Yeah, that could be. Yeah. And and that will be it. And then I kind of started. And I think one of my biggest mistakes was I didn't tell anybody I was going to do it. Literally nobody knew. And so when I clicked go live for the first time, I had no viewers. No one knew I was there. I just thought, look, I'm going to click go live and just talk about Football Manager and just see what happens. And I think looking back now, I would have put more prep in beforehand to kind of get that, to tell people I was doing it, first of all. Because for the first couple of streams, as you do, there was nobody there. There was nobody in the chat. I just thought I'll do it and see what happens. And people started to come in, and I got really nervous at the start. Anytime anybody was in the chat, I used to go like bright red. I didn't know how to react at all. Because like in person, I'm quite like a shy person. Yeah. I don't like talking in big crowds. I'm not very sociable, which is like, people wouldn't guess that about me because I don't know, how would you describe me on stream? Quite energetic.
Yeah, I'd say quite energetic. You got the sounds and stuff, and I think you come across as someone that likes that attention.
Yeah, which is not true. It's completely opposite to that.
Yeah.
I would say like what I'm like on stream is completely me. It's not fake. It is me. It's just with 10% energy added on to my personality, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like it is, I'm not being fake. It's just I try to be happy. I try to look like I'm enjoying it, which is almost like what I saw the guys not do in the build up to when I started streaming.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I look like I'm enjoying it, people will enjoy being in my stream at the same time. And so, yeah, people started coming in, and it started to go really well. I got affiliate within the first 2 or 3 weeks, and I thought, you know what, let's not take this seriously, but let's have fun with it and just see what happens. And my mindset now is still the same. I think when people come in and try and take it too seriously and think, right, I want to do this as a job, and I want to make money doing this, they quickly realise that it isn't actually that straightforward. And so the reason why I think I'm still doing it and enjoying it now is that I'm not even thinking about the job and the career. I'm just doing it because I enjoy doing it.
Yeah. And
things are like slowly growing, and that's kind of what I've wanted from the start.
Yeah, it's good to see the growth. And yeah, I remember, I've said this to you a few times, but I remember I'd started streaming a little bit before you did, and I raided you. And
you did.
We came into this raid. I must have had only like 5 people in there. One of them was me behind, the in another window. And I remember you saying, "Oh, look, we've actually got people in the chat right now," which is absolutely crazy, because on the birthday stream, you were consistently holding around 60 people. It's not too far away from partner. In the space of a bloody year, it's quite insane thinking about that. But I remember, I think it was Nitai telling me that you and STFC Martin, another streamer, are friends in real life, and you started streaming together, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it kind of came from last year. So we did a network save together over lockdown.
Yeah.
Just something we decided to do. As a teacher, obviously I was home learning. I was teaching from home, but had a little bit more time, I guess, on my hands. He worked for Honda, and they were completely shut down for months.
Yeah.
And so we thought, when is there a better chance to do this if we're going to do this? We did one years ago and loved it. So we were like, look, let's just do it and see what happens.
Yeah.
So we thought, we'll go to League 2 and we'll take over the 2 lowest like ranked teams in League 2, according to the media, which was Macclesfield and Morecambe. And so I took Macclesfield, the Silkmen, and he took the Shrimps, Morecambe, and we were like, well, we're just going to do it and see what happens. And 30 years later, on the save, I had won the Premier League, Champions League like 6 times. He had done the same, but just not quite as good as me, because, I was the best team in the world. He was the second, and that was fine. Fair play to him. He did well, but not quite as good.
Not well enough.
And we just had a lovely time, and he started streaming it a bit. And I was like, well, look, he's doing it, and he's getting a couple of people in the chat. Let's just go for it and see what happens. And I'm now really pleased to see that we're both streaming regularly and both still really enjoying it. So.
Well, I mean, I think it is good to have you, obviously, in and around. And I think you're quite a good example of someone in terms of development over the course of a period of time, because I remember around about 6 months ago, I remember, you obviously hear mumblings in like the community, and there was a few people who were saying, I think Mckins tries a bit too hard on the numbers game and tries a bit too hard on the views game, which I think for me it's hard to not have that at the front of your mind when it's always in your face, and it kind of determines how good you are. You get the stats come in after a stream, and it's like, oh, you got X percentage lower than last. It's a negative down arrow. And I was just curious as to, were you self-aware about that in the first instance? At what point did you sort of think, okay, maybe I need to take a bit of a step back on that one and just make sure I'm streaming regardless of how many of the growth and the numbers in there?
Yeah, like you said before, streaming isn't just about turning on a webcam and going. Yeah. It's a lot more difficult than it seems in a way. And you would only know that if you did it for yourself and realise. And I think all streamers would kind of say the same thing. Yeah. Kind of the mental side of doing it is difficult, and you can only continue and be good at it if you kind of master how to deal with that, if that makes sense. So when I first started, obviously, there was a little bit of success there. And my viewers went from like 5 to 15 to 20, like relatively quickly. And I was like, okay, then it's really hard to not keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
And one of the best advice that I was given, it was actually Mr. Ditz who gave me this advice. We DM'd a few times at the start of my career because I think Mr. Ditz is ace. And he DM'd me and he basically said, don't have your view account on the screen, because all that will do is it will draw your eyes to it constantly. And that's what was happening. Every 10 seconds, I would look at that number and think, hold on, that was 5 high yesterday.
Yeah.
Why is it lower today? And when you start kind of asking questions like that, you get into a real bad mindset of, I'm doing this for the numbers. What's the point of doing it anymore? Because my numbers are going down. Yeah. But that's not the point. The way that I kind of drag myself out of that is go back to the reason why I started it in the first place, which was nothing to do with numbers. The 2 main reasons I wanted to stream in the first place was I wanted to meet loads of people with the same interests as me, so I could talk to them about Football Manager and just like chill out with them.
Yeah.
Because working as a teacher, there's 50 people that work in my building. There's 48 females. There's the caretaker and there's me. And, in some ways you think, wow, that's amazing working with 48 females. That's great. And it is great. But when none of them have an interest in football, it's difficult to have conversations with people. Yeah. Like, there's not many people there that I can share my hobbies with and my passion with. And so I wanted to find some people that had the same passion as me. And also, being a teacher, obviously, mental health wise, is very, very difficult in terms of thinking about it all the time. Like, I'm sure lots of careers are like it. Like, it's the first thing you think about in the morning. It's the last thing you think about when you go to bed. Yeah. And it's not great for work-life balance doing it that way. So I wanted something that would just keep my mind off of teaching for a bit, just for a few hours every night, where I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about something completely different. And that's why I wanted to stream. And when I started doing it, I almost forgot for a little bit the reason why I was doing it. I was starting to think of numbers and how to get better. And I was getting myself bogged down a bit on why I wasn't progressing as fast as I wanted to. But it was the conversation with Diz about the numbers of me taking, I think it was around about Christmas time when I had about a week off. Just went back to what I had at the start, which was, I've got people in the chat, which I'm talking to every day, who I love, who are brilliant. It's taking my mind off of teaching. It's doing everything that I want it to do for me. So who cares about numbers? Like, the channel's slowly progressing, and that's what I wanted from the start anyway. So what is there to be sad about? Yeah. So I think it's all to do with the reasons why you start streaming, because you see so many people coming into it and then just disappearing. Yeah. For whatever reason, whether it's because they realize they can't cope, or whether they realize that they can't make a job out of it, or whether they have other life things going on and they can't commit to doing the hours or whatever. But so many people come in, have quite a lot of success quite early on, and then just disappear again. And I was adamant that that wasn't going to be me. Yeah. And I think it would have been me if I was bogged down by the numbers too much. But you need to come and do it for the right reasons. And for me, going back to having people in the chat every day, taking my mind off of my actual job, but by having that mindset, I'm still doing it and I'm still loving it. And it's completely like changed my opinion on like what I'm doing this for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because I went through something quite similar. I remember, obviously, when I was starting, it was towards the end of the FM20 cycle. So you had a lot of the bigger channels sort of taking the breaks. Like Benji was streaming PGA Tour, Lujo wasn't streaming at the time, and a whole host of others. The only sort of big-ish people I could think about streaming at that time was Second Yellow Card, who's just Mr. Consistent. Mr. Ditz was sort of coming to a rise, great guy as well. I think Mr. Ditz comes up in every podcast, which says a lot about the guy.
Yeah, had an impact, hasn't he?
Yeah, 100%. You know, and that was pretty much it. So when I was getting to that point, my numbers were quite good. I saw a lot of growth, and I think like it was something like 20% view to follow account ratio, which is pretty good when you word it like that. And then FM21 comes out, everyone comes back, and I'm like, I was consistently pulling in 15 last week. Why is it 5 now? And yeah, it does get to you, especially when it's always in your face. But again, it's a good example of what can happen when you sort of mentally eliminate that factor, because I think from the conversation, not necessarily conversations, just the murmurs I'd had at that point of, oh, he's really, really too follower focused and view focused. From that sort of point to now, you can definitely see the improvements. And I think for me personally, actually physically having an interaction with you when no one was there to seeing 60 guys in on your, birthday stream, it's absolutely insane, and full credit to you for that. But
yeah, thank you. Things have taken off like I'd never expected it to happen. Like I said, I was going to do it for a week and realize that nobody was watching and then stop again. And that didn't happen. And people have come in and people have consistently stayed, which I kind of take as the biggest compliment. It isn't even about numbers and followers. It's about people who come in and then are almost there every day then.
Yeah.
I'm doing something to keep them in my stream, and I still, like, a little part of me now still thinks I don't deserve that. Like, why are people doing it? Why are people coming to my birthday stream and staying for 12 hours, which is madness? But actually, I need to take it as a big compliment that people want to hang out with me and want to watch my stream. So I must be doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take credit for that, because there's definitely people that have been on the platform longer who haven't reached that point yet. So it's something you can definitely, take some solace in that regard. And I think it just proves that the approach that you've taken recently, I say recently, after that point of Christmas, it seems to be working quite well.
Yeah, and my aim is just to almost continue as I'm doing, like back to work in September with a new class and a new year group in my school. And it's a busy time, especially in September. And I just want to try and make sure I stick to my schedule and then make sure I have maybe a little bit of a break before FM22 comes out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do that last year and I think I regretted that a tiny bit. But here's my plan to take a little bit of a break before that game comes out and then go again.
No, I look forward to it. I mean, we've got on a positive there, where I'm going to bring you back a little bit now, because you have had a couple, no fault of your own, just a bit of drama in your time as a Twitch streamer, and I find it to a degree funny, to a degree quite interesting. So the things that come to mind are being accused of cheating during a draft.
Yeah.
I think I wasn't sure if you banned someone for dropping their own Twitch links in who was a follower of yours for a while, but that happened. And somebody who was a subscriber, I think they gifted subs as well, almost getting angry at you for not listening to the decisions they wanted you to make on the stream. What is it about you?
I don't know. It's just, I think, as a person, I want to stay away from the drama as much as I can. And so because I do that, it almost is just attracted to me. Yeah. Look, the big mental health message in life right now is be kind, isn't it? Right. Yeah. Like we all need to just get along. And if we don't, tolerate people and be civil and don't do anything purposefully to upset somebody.
Yeah, of course.
Like that's, as a person, that's just how I try to live my life. Like I try to be nice. I try to be polite, but sometimes people come in and it's hard, isn't it? Like, because some people don't have that same mindset on life. And there was an incident where I think it was one of the early Wasted Possession drafts.
It was the first one.
Where I was at the very first one. Yeah, where I was accused of copying someone's formation, and 100% that was so not the case. Like, I did not. Like this person accused me of going to their streams and monitoring them and watching their formations and copying it on purpose, and that is so far from what happened. This person was playing a formation in a game and he beat me 4-0 in the first leg. Right, I was done. I was like, I'm out of this, whatever. So all I did in the second game was play 3 strikers and thought, you know what, stuff this. Let's go. I need to score 5 goals. Let's put 3 up front. It just so happened that he also had 3 strikers in his team. And he saw that as, well, you're copying my formation. And I ended up beating him 5-0, winning 5-4 on aggregate. And I don't know what it was, but he had in his head that he had been cheated. And it's a real shame because that is so not what happened. And, since that day, that person still hasn't spoken to me at all. And it's like, but I've done nothing wrong. Like, genuinely, I've done nothing wrong. But yet some people are they're almost like out to get you, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I don't know why people are like that in life. I don't know whether it's jealousy or like, I can't put my finger on why people are like it. But
I remember when that happened, because on Twitter the next day, said person tweeted, "It's been very clear through VODs that somebody cheated to get a win. I will not be taking part or being affiliated with Wasted Possession until this is looked into," and just tweeted it out. And all of us boys were like, could have DM'd us. So then we went and did the investigation. I went and did the investigation, so I had a look. I was reading the chat because they were coming up with, you sent somebody to scout, and it just wasn't the case. There was absolutely no evidence of that. You hadn't even checked his stream, because you could tell you hadn't flicked off the screen you were on. You were still engaged with the chat. So, you know, we then didn't do anything about it. And it really pissed Chief Rish off. Shout out Rish, because it was in the early days. We were quite new, and we were like, oh, we're providing this sort of service for people to get together and do something positive under our sort of name, and to then try and taint us for that, even if you had done it, we were like, bro, what? And
yeah,
so we then haven't had said person involved. I think they did apply to be involved in season 2, but we were just like, you know what, like, we don't want that.
No. I was laying in bed the next morning when all the drama was kicking off. And I remember I was DMing you. I was laying in bed at the time thinking, like, as I've just said, all I try to be is a bit of an entertainer and try and be a nice person and be kind. And yet I'm getting all of this crap.
Yeah.
When I haven't done anything wrong. Like, if I was slightly guilty of doing it, I would have felt a little bit guilty. But because I literally did nothing wrong, and I was getting, like, my biggest fear was that you guys would kind of believe it and then not let me take part anymore.
Oh no.
Which it was kind of like, it started when Stick messaged me, actually. It was around about the November time last year. Because I remember I said openly on the stream that I wanted to make Friday nights like draft night.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how I wanted to do it, but I didn't have any plans to do it in a formal way.
Yeah.
It was just, I wanted to do some drafts on a Friday and just who would be involved. And you Stick, messaged me as part of the Wasted Possession. I think you were, was it 5 at the back then, or you had a different name or something?
Yeah. Well, that was the initial plan.
Yeah, back in the day. And then Stick being Stick, obviously, he's a very wise and intelligent and kind of passionate man. Yeah. He sent me this like 6-paragraph essay through my DMs of kind of why we should partner up and get something, like make a product and get it going.
I didn't know.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like a quick, do you want a draft? It was like a proper, like a business contract. It was like a huge message, like, we should do this. These are the reasons why we should do this. And I was like, completely nutted. I'm in for this. The only thing that I had against it was, because I was so busy, I didn't want any added hours and added pressure to what I was doing. Like, I just about had time to stream a couple of times a week. I didn't want to be like dedicating more time to it, if that made sense. So for like the first couple of months when it was like the Wasted Possession and MckinsFM draft, it made me feel a little bit bad because my name was attached to it and I was doing nothing. I was hosting these drafts.
Yeah.
But not doing anything to it. So I was like, well, I can't really have my name attached to this because I don't do anything. I don't deserve that right. So yeah, it almost felt like it was like one of my babies at the time.
Yeah.
Because I was one of the people who started it. And yeah, on the first draft of the first thing that we did, to be accused of cheating and all of these things, it's like, well, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, I remember that because it was the Mckins X Wasted Possession. I think we put you first because it was your sort of idea. When we say your idea, I think you just said you wanted to do a Friday night draft and then Stick ran with it. Sort of
yeah,
thing.
That was it. It wasn't formal. It was just, I want to do it every Friday. Who would like to come and draft with me? And then it became a thing. And now the Wasted Possession is like a growing tournament. And it's amazing to see. Like, it's so cool to see.
See, I remember those. I remember how shit season 1 was.
We had a lovely time, but it wasn't great, was it?
No, in terms of an actual sort of event. But I guess how does that reflect on you? Because obviously we'll go into drafting now. It seems like a good caveat. You know, how does it feel to have indirectly been the reason why the Wasted Possession Draft Premiership is now a thing, and we pull in, you know, as it stands in season 4, we can hit 40 viewers without a raid?
Yeah. It feels really good. Like, doing what I'm doing, it just makes me feel really proud and almost like things are happening in my life that I can be proud of. I almost went through a phase of a few years before I did this where that wasn't really the case. Like my confidence as a person was just like so low.
Yeah.
I was almost asking myself questions like, well, where's my life going? Like big questions. Like I don't know what I was doing, don't know where I was going. And yeah, streaming and starting it has almost given me a bit of a purpose, because I know that I'm doing something that is having an impact on myself, on my own mental health, but also to others, which is a really good thing. So yeah, when we started the whole thing off, I didn't really know what was going to happen. I didn't really expect very much. Looking at the viewer level on kind of season 1, I didn't really expect it to grow as it has so quickly. Like we're on now, season 4 now?
Yeah.
And it's like some of the names we've got in it now are insane. And yeah, it makes me feel really proud, even though I'm not technically associated with the Wasted Possession now, to be part of it and to take part in every series so far and have differing degrees of success, I would say. It makes me really proud.
It is mad. And I remember, I won't mention any of the names, but it's one of the guys who's a regular in the Streamer Showdown. We were chatting one time and he mentioned that some of the guys there have dummy accounts that they monitor like what we're doing on, because essentially it's sort of like before Clates made an appearance in the Streamer Showdown, he was pulling in less views than you are right now. And I think from what I've had, it's on the previous episode, but it hasn't come out yet, so I won't tell you live, just in case this one does come out first. But it was Ben basically saw the guy and thought he saw Clayton, saw he's got something to him and included him in. And I think I know that there are some people from that sort of side having a look at us, which is crazy to think. Some of the guys that we've got in, I think the biggest name we've had so far is Buster Net, and he's a guy who can afford to do what he's doing full time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which I think when you're able to do that,
it's so exciting, isn't it? And knowing like some of the guys, like the biggest guys in the community, are keeping an eye and almost just know that we exist. It's quite exciting to know that with them on board.
Well, it's
like
not
there's no ceiling. There's no ceiling, is there? Like it could continue to grow.
And like someone messaged Stick Piano saying, I've been chatting to some of the guys. They're keeping an eye on you, when he was still competing in the draft sort of thing. So it's mad, and I think I think it's a good barometer for guys who, when they are looking to get somebody new, when they are looking to see that Clates example, it's a real good opportunity for the guys to come in. And indirectly, I guess I started with you just mentioning a Friday night draft on your stream, and who knows, because I think there is definitely potential if we keep growing the way we're growing. It's been absolutely insane so far, like what we're getting in, and every season it's just getting bigger. Like I remember last season, I don't even know what it is, but last season we were looking at 20 viewers on a good day. Maybe around, I remember sometimes when we rather short-sightedly decided to go when England and Scotland were playing. We had eight guys were in our stream. Now, like, I don't know from where there's 40. Like, I can't believe it myself. I don't understand. I can't see what happened in that space of time, other than maybe the partnership with the FM playoffs and getting our name around and the Super League, which is pretty big.
That will definitely help. But I guess my personal streaming journey is almost similar. Like, I can't believe what's happening, similar to what's happening to Wasted Possession. I think if you're going to come and do it, you have to do something that makes you stand out from the crowd and gets people to watch. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we talked about, wasn't it, after season 1, was like, we were having a lovely time, but how are we going to make it a thing that people want to come and watch?
Yeah.
And now it's almost like a spectacle. It's something that people want to come and see happen and see how we get on and see how the whole thing progresses, really. It's it's really exciting.
Yeah, it's mad. It's got to a point where we had somebody angry with us that we turned them down because, obviously, I think we had about 50 applicants this season, and
crazy. That's a stupid
we,
amount,
we have
isn't it?
we have
That's
the
insane.
most people involved out of the other drafting competitions because it's not invite only, and we've set up the challenger leagues to give everyone a chance. And still, like, we're turning people down. I'll tell you who afterwards because it'll make you laugh.
Okay.
But I guess when it comes to yourself in drafting, you know, you took the Wasted Possession. You've been on the playoffs. I think a couple times now, or is it just
Twice now? Yeah, twice.
Yep. And you know, I'm sure you're going to be invited in there again. What is it about drafted that draws sort of you in? And I guess where do you see the scene maybe this time next year if everybody's still going?
I mean, the scene in the last year has blown up, in my opinion. When I first started, obviously the Streamer Showdown is about a year and a half old now, and that's almost like what kicked off the whole drafting thing. They did it, and people realised not people watch, but that looks really fun.
Yeah.
Competing against your friends and going about it in that way, because obviously FM's quite an individual game, and you play it on your own. And so, yeah, it's almost fun competing against your mates, isn't it? And seeing if you could beat them and almost coming up with the rivalries that people want to see. Like, people want to see certain people play against each other just to see what happens. So, yeah, I'm quite a regular drafter.
Yeah.
It's almost like a running joke in my stream that I draft a bit too much, actually. But it's because I love it. Like, whether it's against other streamers or whether it's just for people in the chat, it's just a good laugh, isn't it? And I'm pretty well known for losing.
Same.
in the community. Like, there's a lot of bottling going on my channel. I don't win very much, but it's part of it, isn't it? Like, it isn't all about the winning. I almost find it hilarious when I lose and get all the stick in the chat. Like, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Like, you can't take it to heart. No. There are certain people that do take it to heart and get angry about the whole thing, and it's like, but why? Like, you've just got beaten, but so what? FM is such like a random game.
Yeah.
I've said it from the start. I think it's like 80% luck and 20% tactics drafting. Like, if the game's not with you on a particular day, you're not going to do well. You can have the perfect draft, the perfect tactics, but it doesn't mean you're going to win.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing, it's not like FIFA. There's nothing you can do to guarantee you're going to win a game.
Yeah.
But that's football, isn't it? That's football. So that's almost why it makes it really fun. You can have a great draft, you can have a great tactic, and you could come up against the biggest names in the community, like Bust the Net and these guys, but there's no guarantee they're going to beat you. You beat them and it feels amazing. Like, so yeah, it's really good to play against your mates, and it's a good way of getting new creators involved and getting people involved in the community that we wouldn't necessarily know about. And these tournaments almost kickstart people's careers, I would say, in streaming. There are guys that you don't know a lot about that have just kind of started, and they come into the competition and do quite well. And then because they've entered these competitions, they start to get views on their own channel, and it helps them to grow as well. There are so many. Go on.
It does make you think, particularly me. Like, I'm not trying to say that we're taking credit for it, so I don't want it to go the wrong way. But to an extent, I wonder if, you know, Goofy Jord would be an FM streamer if he hadn't taken part in the Wasted Possession drafting and absolutely dominated. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, because he's more into his racing, isn't he? And he does his racing streams, and that was his thing. And he didn't stream Football Manager very much, I remember, when he first entered. And then, smashed the first couple that he did.
Well, he wasn't even Goofy Jill then. He was Formula E Zone.
Yeah.
And to a degree, I'll be honest, we didn't have 8 people for the competition. And, you know, we were like, this guy isn't an FM streamer, but we need the numbers, so let's just put him in. And then there we go.
Yeah, and going back to one of the reasons why I started streaming was to find people with the same interests as me that I could kind of build relationships with. Like, Jack is somebody who we know really well now, and I class him as one of my friends, even though we've never met in person. I love the guy. He's awesome. And if he didn't join that first draft, I probably wouldn't know him now. I wouldn't speak to him. And so it brings people together. And the whole Football Manager scene now is very different to what it was a year ago. We all almost feel like now we're a big community that are all here to help each other.
Because a year ago,
it's really nice.
It's weird. It's weird to think about this, but a year ago, none of us were collaborating or anything like that, and now we've got the collaborations that were set up, collaborating with each other, with, you know, the partnership between the 3 drafting tournaments. Like, it's such an incredible scene to be in right now. And I guess it's down to the guys who are taking part regularly, because if it wasn't for people like you, people like Jord, and, you know, probably around about 60, 70 other people who we've had involved in the drafts, we wouldn't be able to function. We wouldn't be having what we've got now. I wouldn't have talked to Second Yellow Card on this, and the Outguess for season 4, which isn't out yet, is one of the biggest in the FM space. It's just crazy how everything's come like along from just people getting together and playing FM with each other.
Yeah, and I think the reason why people want to do it is because the competition has grown so much in a relatively short space of time, and that's kind of all credit to you and Stick Piano and Bad Lip and all the guys that are behind the scenes. Because like you said, when we did season 1, we had a great time, but the whole thing wasn't great. And now we're in season 4. That's only like 3 seasons on. And if you just compare the two, you can't compare them. Like the last couple of seasons have grown so much in terms of everything, in terms of the spectacle, in terms of the graphics, in terms of how it looks on Twitter, the interaction. It's already becoming like a really exciting thing to be a part of. And so that's, I mean, all credit to you guys for doing it, because if you didn't, then people wouldn't want to be involved. So,
well, it was
fair play to you guys
when we asked you what suggestions would you like to improve. And it literally was just 8 people just messing around in the same Discord call. And it just wasn't anything. Now it's a product, I think that's the big difference. But I want to take you to someone you just mentioned, Bad Lip. We're talking about Z. Obviously the most recent addition to the Wasted Possession team, one of your long-time followers and subscribers. I want to draw onto him and everyone else who's in that sort of space with you. You know, the first guy that comes to mind other than Z is MSG. I feel like your sort of core is pretty unrivaled as far as, you know, streamers' cores go. Like I don't think I'm trying to think of any other streamer who, for their birthday stream, somebody will have already set up a compilation video for, edited, etc., etc. You know, like that. Shout out to those guys, right?
Shout out to those guys, yeah. I mean, I said it on the stream on my birthday, like, thank you isn't enough.
Yeah.
I could sit here and say thank you all day, but there are certain people that are in the streams every day. And the two names that you've mentioned, obviously, are the two like really dedicated ones. And there are some others that I throw into the mix as well. But yeah, I probably wouldn't still be doing this without them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Everything they do, just knowing that they're there in the background, listening away, like gives me comfort. And it makes me feel like more relaxed doing this when they're there. Because for every single stream that I've done for the past about 9 months, I've had like at least one of my core there with me. And yeah, like I said before, a part of me just still believes that I don't deserve to have that. and I don't know why. As a person, I'm quite like, my confidence is quite low naturally. But yeah, there's obviously something about me that draws them into the stream. So yeah, for all of my regulars and anyone that like drops into my stream, like I said, thank you isn't enough. Like everyone's amazing, and I wouldn't be doing it without you. So I try and be as entertaining as I can for the regulars, and try and, you know, it's been a difficult time, isn't it, the last couple of years in life, and it's nice to know that I'm having an impact on people. So yeah.
Yeah, and
thanks guys for being there.
Because it's not just them being there for me, because, you know, when you have that call, like Football Manager is just chatting with something on in the background, like, you know, 60% of the time you're playing the game, you're not in a game. So you need, if you want people to stay and you want to grow, you need to have that sort of core. You need to have those people that are going to carry the chat to some extent, because the streams that I stay in is because the chat are getting involved, so then it's easier for me to get involved. And just having people like that in is so important. And it's I think to an extent you do have to be lucky to get guys like that in who are willing,
Absolutely,
who will put that time in. It's especially Z. Like, I don't think I've ever been in one of your streams and Z hasn't been there. I've been in I think maybe one or two when MSG hasn't been there. I'm not too regular in your streams, I'll admit, but you know, having them people there who will kind of get the chat going, and there's not there's the entertainment value, but other than that entertainment value of you, there's not a lot sort of, you know, in return in that aspect, if you know what I mean. So like, I mean, what is it like to have that loyalty to that degree?
Yeah, I guess it isn't necessarily about the entertainment. I've said from the start, it's less to do with what you're doing and more to do with you as a person.
100%.
Like the streamers that I watch, and obviously I don't have a lot of time in my life. Like we're all busy, but the streams that I do go in regularly, I'm there for the person, not for what they're doing, really.
Yeah.
And so it's almost given me a fresh mindset on what I'm doing, because the save you're doing isn't really that important. The people that are in your streams regularly will be there whatever save you do. And so, yeah, I'm always very much for the chat. I will make sure that whatever I'm doing, the chat is my main focus in that stream.
Yeah.
And so it's a big reason why I'm a little bit against like going into big kind of Discord group chats when we're doing drafts and putting my attention on them instead, because I don't want my chat to feel like I'm with them, I'm with the other guys and not with the chat.
Yeah.
And so I always try and spend like as much time as I can with my chat, and then if I need to drop into conversations, then I do. So that's why I'm sometimes a bit quiet in like kind of the voice chats and things, but it's because the chat are there for me and I wouldn't be doing it without them. And so I want to dedicate all of my time to them.
Yeah.
And so when anyone comes into my chat, whether it's to say hi or whether it's to follow or for whatever, I try and give them the time of day and I try and make them feel welcome. And my regulars, the ones that you've mentioned, are very good at making people feel really welcome when they come in, whether it's new people or people who haven't been in for a while. I like to think that when people come into my stream, they feel like they fit and they feel like it's a community and they feel like they want to come and stay. And it's the biggest thing for me. And I think it's one of the main reasons why some of my numbers have gone up recently, is because of that focus on the chat. It frustrates me when I go into people's streams and they don't really acknowledge it as much.
Yeah.
I understand that big streamers have chats that go so quickly that you couldn't do it. Like, I completely understand that. But it frustrates me when I go into somebody's stream and follow them and they don't acknowledge me for following them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's just politeness. I would never get a follower and not thank them for that. They've given up their time of day to come into my stream, watch me and follow me. So I want to thank them for that. And it's not just a thank you for the follow. It's have a conversation with them, make them want to come back again.
Yeah. And
it's the sense of community that I think makes people want to stay. And that's what I dedicate most of my time thinking about, just to make sure that happens in my stream.
I don't suppose you particularly remember your like first interactions with the Z and MSG or guys like that.
MSG, I do. It was in somebody else's stream. And it was a guy who doesn't really play FM because MSG doesn't like FM, which is a weird thing to say.
That is quite weird.
He doesn't play it, and he wouldn't say he enjoys it very much. And he was in this other guy's stream who was doing FM just as something a bit different one day. And I popped in and said, hi. And the guy who was streaming was like, oh, I was in your stream the other day, and you're a cool dude. Like, everyone go and follow Mckins. And so MSG was there, and he was like, oh, I'll drop you a follow, dude. And I was like, oh, thanks, that's nice. And he came in the next day, and he's just never gone away. he's just been there for the last year, and yeah, it's been great. And I think, yeah, the first time I came across Badlip was he was in someone called Alex's stream, who was in the first season of the Wasted Possession.
Oh, I remember Alex. Yeah,
didn't he win the first one or something?
He won the first one, yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Dutch, isn't he?
Yeah, was he Dutch?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was Dutch. I remember Alex.
I remember thinking he was quite a cool dude, and Z was in his stream. Like, Z was very like #Alex for the win. And Alex, for whatever reason, just stopped streaming and didn't want to do it anymore. And then I kind of took Z on, if you want. Yeah, took him on, and he's come into my stream, and Z's amazing. Like, there's no one like him. No. I'll say it like that. There's no one like him. He's so generous. He's an amazing mod, and yeah, I've grown so close to him recently, not just in the streams, but we DM every day.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that there's somebody out there that really cares about you.
Yeah.
And so I really care about him. We've never met, like, I don't know him, but I don't know him, but there's a person out there that really cares about me. And so I I give him a lot of my time. I owe a lot to Z.
He was one of the first guys who was saying we need improvements for the Wasted Possession draft, first and foremost. So we obviously took that on board, and then he just started helping Stick behind the scenes, and then he came in as a one of the commentators for the final of season 2, I believe, because we were like, this guy can be quite funny. You know, he's got that dry sense of humor, and he can call someone a prick without them getting mad. He has this knack for it, so you're like, that'll be good. And we'd always faked this beef. I don't really know why, because we are quite polar opposites persons, like in terms of personality, and for some reason it just worked when we're on together. It's just he calls me a prick every day, so you can't be offended by it. Like, oh no. But even I remember my first interaction with him. I was in a Sai Maggio Sunday draft, and we played each other first game. I absolutely obliterated him, by the way. But we played each other first game, and he was like, "Oh, great, AlehStair's here," and I never spoke to him before, so I was like. Hell yeah, I'm here. I didn't take anything to heart, but I just kind of took it on that stride. So I think that's where it sort of started, and then obviously having him on, and the input he has on the Wasted Possession stuff, just generally. I think Stick will admit himself when it came towards the end of season 2, he was burning out a little bit on terms of new ideas and stuff, and then Z just helped a lot with that sort of weight, and a lot behind the scenes as well. And he's just taking it in his stride from there, and he's a good guy to have on.
Yeah, of course. He's he's very vocal.
Yeah,
but he does it from a place of love. I think he wants to see people do well, and I think he's a really good person to have on board with you guys, because he's full of ideas.
Yeah,
like you said, he's really funny. Like, he's a comedian. He's had experience in the past of hosting and presenting, and so he's kind of got that in his locker. I just think he finds people that he likes and that he sees some good in, and he wants them to do well. And so even though he'll admit he can come across sometimes is a bit vocal, and he's very opinionated, but he does it for good reasons, and I wouldn't have him any other way.
100%. So I guess in terms of, yourself, your channel, you've got a really good trajectory on right now. I think you're growing quite well. It's weird because I remember like talking to someone in the new year, and we were having a debate on who would be partnered first, essentially. I said one guy, he said another, neither of which are streaming anymore. And I feel like you've started to take that sort of spot, and you've started to fill in that sort of role with how the trajectory is going. So I just wanted to sort of ask, where do you see yourself as MckinsFM in, I don't know, a month, a year, a week? That was in the wrong order, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 2030, whatever.
What I don't think you can do really on Twitch is set goals. It's really hard to do, because you almost don't have any say in whether you hit them or not, in a weird way. All you can do is try and do the best that you can and produce quality streams. And even then, when you do your best, it still might not happen for you.
Yeah.
And like I said at the start, there are so many people, like you just said then, that have come in and have had quite a lot of success early on and have just faded away for whatever reason. And I'm sure that the guys you were talking about then, that you were having a discussion with about who's going to make partner first, and now they're not streaming anymore. It's harder than it looks doing this. It's definitely harder than it looks. And so I'm trying not to set goals. If I try to say to myself, I'd love to be a partner in a year, if it doesn't happen, then your mindset could start to drop, and it could start to really affect you.
Yeah.
So my only goal, I guess, from now on is to continue to stick to a regular schedule and continue to enjoy it, because that's why I do it. And if the time comes that I don't enjoy it anymore, then it just stops, because I wouldn't want to do it anymore. And so as long as I'm doing it regularly and I'm still enjoying it, as long as the channel continues to progress at whatever rate it does, that's almost not the point. Like, I don't have a follower goal in mind or whatever goal in mind in the next, like you said, day, week, month, year. It's just about doing it and continuing the small growth and just see what happens. We might be here in a year and there might be minimal growth, but if I'm still enjoying it, then I'm still getting from it what I need to get from it.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. It's exciting that the channel's growing, and it's exciting that you've even mentioned the word partner, because in my head, that's never going to happen. Like, it's so far away, in my opinion, that I can't think about that yet.
No.
people were saying to me, like, when I started streaming, oh, it'll be so exciting when you get to 1,000 followers. And I just kept saying, it will never happen. Like, there'll be a time where I'll hit the level, because everyone will hit their level, and it'll be nowhere near 1,000, and it will just stop. Then I did get to 1,000 followers. And some people were like, but we told you all along you get to 1,000, and you never believed us. So I don't know what the future holds. I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to keep enjoying it. And if I don't enjoy it, I'll stop. Yeah. And if partner happens in the future, then bloody hell. Bloody hell. It will be great. But yeah, that's not the aim. I'm not doing this to become a partner. Yeah. I'm doing it to interact and to enjoy it and to play my favorite game.
100%. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to approach it, because it is one of them, like, you can't really force anyone to click. And so once you start setting those tangible goals, either you smash it and you think, well, why am I lowballing myself? Or you don't get near it and it's like, oh, I'm going the wrong way. So I think that is probably the best mindset to have. But I think... sorry.
Well, I was going to say, like, it frustrates me a little bit when people come in and say, I'm going to try and do it full time and see if I can make a career out of it in a couple of months. And it's like,
you know,
that's a really naive way of looking at it. Because if you think about the amount of Football Manager content creators that are doing it full time, there's about 5. They're the people that have been doing it for 5 to 10 years. You can't be a Football Manager content creator and within 6 months make a full-time wage. It's literally impossible. So
I think from Wasted Possessions sort of group and the people, we've probably had about 60, 70 people involved in the product now. Only 2 of them, I believe, do it full time, and one of them is Bustaner, and he's been doing it since the 90s.
Yeah.
And the other one's Mozza, who also has the Broomhill stuff, which is a big factor in that sort of thing. So to do it in that space of time, it's so naive and almost a bit arrogant. And I think myself, I'm a little bit arrogant, but it's self-aware. And I think if you're self-aware arrogant, that can take you quite far. But to think that I'm going to put on this camera and now 75 people are going to watch me. And I know people who are having 200, 300 people in their streams who still can't afford to do it full time. So if you want to be doing it full time just off the Twitch, you must be thinking that within a couple months, I reckon I could get close to 1,000 people watching my stuff. Just ain't gonna happen, Chief.
Yeah, no, it's not. And I know I play like the arrogant prick on my stream sometimes, but that's almost like the character that, not that I've dreamt up, but the character that I'm trying to play, like, that's not me as a person. And I do hope that comes across, that I'm not that person. And when I say things like I'm an influencer, that is like just me messing around, like pretending, because obviously that's not what I think of myself. That's just me trying to have a bit of a joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you can't be arrogant enough to think that you can do it full time. Like, even listening to Dr. Benji, who is like the godfather, isn't he, of the whole community? Like, in his streams, even he says, like, and he's the top of the top, he only earns enough just about like minimum wage to be able to get by. Yeah. And if that's Dr. Benji, no one else really has a chance then, do they?
No.
So it's not something that you can, unless you're a content creator where you have your finger in lots of different pies. Like, for example, Mozza, who does lots of different things. He isn't just a Football Manager guy. You can't play Football Manager and make a full-time living out of it. It's just impossible. So the best way to look at doing it is come and do it, enjoy it, and do it for that reason, not to make money out of it. And if you make money on the side, then brilliant. That's a little bit of pocket money for you. But
and it's like when you look at somebody like Ben, who, you know, is putting in a lot of work Let's be fair. And he's talked about it in the past, and he pulls in similar sort of numbers to Lelujo, and he's talked about his work-life balance in the past. And if you think that you can just play some FM, get the money, do it full time, and be willing to do it for just about how much you can afford, I don't like the hours that you put in. You got to really, really, really have a proper passion for it.
Yeah, completely. And in my head, there's something that doesn't sit right with me about the term content creator.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Benji and Alujo and all of these guys, because they don't just sit and play Football Manager. Like Alujo has his Football Manager channel, and he has his vlog channel, and he has all these different things going on. He is creating content. So he's a content creator.
Yeah.
I don't class myself as that, because I sit and play a game on stream and people watch. Like, I guess you can make your own opinions on whether you think that's content or not. But in my head, I play Football Manager. I'm not here to create videos. I don't do YouTube because, in a way, I'm not particularly interested in editing videos together and making that kind of content. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for the community, for the chat, for the stream. So yeah, I don't see myself as a content creator. So it frustrates me a bit when I see people calling themselves that when it isn't necessarily what it is. If that makes sense.
I'm just a dick with a camera, boys.
Well, yeah.
That's yeah, I get that, and there's a lot more to it. And I guess in order to make that a sustainable living, then you got to be willing to put the grind and the time in. And even now, like, from personal experience, we're doing the Wasted Possession stuff this whole week. We're on Wednesday the 11th of August as this is recording. Every day this week, after I finish my 9 till 5, I've been either recording or building an Excel spreadsheet with all the data from the previous sort of records that we have of the Wasted Possession, and that's been it. That's been my time. I don't get paid for it. And
these are the bits that people don't see. Like, people turn up on Friday and you'll go live and it'll be welcome to the Wasted Possession Group A. We have this, and this, and we play the games. But sometimes people don't realise the bits that go on before that and everything that you've had to do to get to that stage. And even it's almost like when I come to stream, I don't just turn the webcam on and start going. Like, there's all of the bits that I have to do beforehand. It sounds really like small and tiny, but I spent a couple of hours today just doing things like putting things on the stream deck, like new sounds for the new season to start. And, like little things like that, like sorting out my Streamlabs and sorting some of the graphics out. And it doesn't just appear like that. I have to sit and put time into that first before I go live. So it's all the hours on top of your live time, and it all builds up, doesn't it? It's certainly not easy.
It's not even that. It's like the small sort of sacrifices that aren't really sacrifices, but they seem like a big deal in the moment. So the best example that I can give is Wasted Possession happens on a Friday night. I'm 23 and living in London. Do you know what I mean? And particularly with the challenges, you're not done until 11:30 midnight because of how many games are going through. That's sometimes you're thinking before it's happening and before the events. I thoroughly enjoy it, but it's like all my housemates are going out on Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna be sat in my room on my own.
Like as a teacher, I'm currently on my holidays right now, and I had to sit here this afternoon and say to myself, right, I can't find a Meowth sound voice on YouTube. So what am I going to, like, do you see what I mean? Little stupid things like that is like, I love this. It's brilliant. And that's really fun. But on the other hand, what am I doing with my life? I'm sitting on YouTube looking at Meowth noises like a Pokemon. It's like,
It's like anything, though. I feel like a lot of people don't grasp that, in order to get to that point, you have to work hard for it. And, I think Zealand is probably a really good example of that, where, he was grinding this out for a couple of years. If you look on his Twitch history, there's websites. We had a look when we're, seeing who's going to come in for the Wasted Possession, check their stream schedules. If you look at 2019, he's pulling in 7 to 12 views. And now he's at this point where he can pump out the content, do the Twitch, send it to an editor, and I think when people are looking at, I could do this, people don't notice the, work that goes in order for you to get to the point where you can afford to send it to an editor. But the only impression you have of it is some dude sending it to their editor. And when you think about, I could play a game for 4 hours and then send it to someone else and then, upload it on YouTube as well and get that revenue too. But in order to get to that point, you have to earn it and really earn it. And again, when it comes to Twitch, people choose to watch you. It's still out of your hands.
Yeah, like I said before, it's you can set yourself goals, but you really have no say in whether you hit them or not. Like you said, it's all to do with who clicks and who comes to watch, and all you can do is just try and do the best job that you can, and try and be the most engaging and do the things well that you do well, and just hopefully get the luck and get the people in, and hopefully it falls for you. But for most people, it doesn't work like that, and that's why they don't do it anymore.
Yeah, and it always feels bad, to a degree. Like, because I've known a few guys who I really quite liked. They were good, entertaining guys, and they were getting some ground. And, I remember a couple of them saying, like, I need within the end of the year to be able to do this full time, otherwise I can't carry on. And it's just, you just sat there and it's a bit like, don't think good luck with that. Yeah. You just, and it is tough. And then because they're so focused on the numbers, it just takes the mental toll. And then all of a sudden, because they've set that bar so high and they're not getting it, they're just not about anymore.
No, I think to be able to do it and enjoy doing it, you have to understand that everything's going to go up and down.
Yeah.
The numbers are going to go up and down. Your mindset's going to go up and down. I try and think to myself every time I have a couple of low streams where things are a bit quiet. Every time this has happened before, it's been followed by some good ones. And so it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? You can have a couple of not so great days, and then you could have some amazing days where the chats pop in and you get it all going on. And I use the word carnage a lot on my stream. It's like my word that I use all the time. And sometimes it's carnage, but sometimes it's not, and it's quite quiet. And it's it's how to get yourself through that, because you could end that stream and think, I've not enjoyed that today. Not a lot's happened. What am I doing? But then you pick yourself up by thinking, right, tomorrow's going to be better, and we'll go again, and we'll enjoy it, and it's all going to be fine.
And to be fair, I think it resonates with me, because the first time I took a break from streaming was because I was feeling shit about it, because I was getting these good views, and then all of a sudden they weren't really there anymore. And then the second time is a different matter. I got made redundant at a job just as I'd sort of signed papers to move to London. So I was moving with no income, and it was a bit like, okay, I need to take a break on that. But it's weird, because I'm sat here saying you can't focus on the numbers, but I did myself. So it's not an easy mindset to, break away from. But I think the guys who have been successful, who haven't come from that YouTube side, and we mentioned Zealand earlier on, Clayt is a great example. I think he was consistently on about 10 viewers for a year or two. And then people still noticed he got his break. Look at him now. I think those are the guys who have the longevity, because they don't give a shit about what's happening in the next couple of months in that regard. And I think that's where you need to be.
Yeah, and using Clayt as an example, he's a really good one to use, because he's grown because he's really, really good at it.
Yeah.
Yes, he got his break, and yes, he got his little piece of luck, and he was noticed by some of the leading guys. But you can see with him and his stream, everything he does, he improves almost every single week. Yeah. And you watch his streams, you watch him on Twitter, he puts things out there, and you can tell that he's getting better and better and better. And that's why he's in the position he is now, because he always looked at himself and thought, right, how am I going to improve? How am I going to get better? And I think that's the right mindset to have. Not standing still, never thinking, right, I'm content. Okay, I'm doing this now, but how am I going to be better next week? What am I going to do? What am I going to add to my streams? What am I going to do to the personality? What little things to add to make yourself better? And I know I act a bit of the fool sometimes on my stream with all the sounds and the little bits and things. And I know it's all really immature and stuff, but actually it's something a bit different that not everyone does. And you've got to look at yourself and think, right, what are you doing that everyone else is not doing to try and make yourself stand out from the crowd a bit? And yeah, it's the little things like, right, what am I going to add today to make myself better than yesterday? And it's quite hard to continuously kind of revolutionize what you're doing and how it's working. And that's tough. But yeah, Clates is an example of somebody who is continuously getting better and better and better.
And he's a great example to use, because when us guys started, he wasn't on that level yet. Do you know what I mean? So, and I think again, like, people can say, oh, but he got lucky with the Streamer Showdown, blah blah blah. But just because you get put on that doesn't mean it's sustainable.
No, of course. And he wouldn't have even put on there in the first place if he didn't show that he was an up-and-coming person and continuing to grow and get better.
Exactly.
So, yes, he got a little bit of luck at the right time, but that was because of his good doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he created his own luck and then grabbed it with two hands.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing to remember, because there are a lot of smaller streamers who do watch this, and I think potential streamers as well. So I think it is a really important topic to cover personally. But I guess, we're coming up to that 1 hour 15 mark. Have you got anything else on your mind that you wanted to talk about today?
Ooh, I don't know, really.
I guess it's your turn to interview me for a little bit.
I mean, I guess my question to you would be, are you going to be streaming anytime soon again?
I want to get back in. Definitely. But it's easier said than done. Even where I am now, like with work and stuff, like it's working in a financial area. Like it's not uncommon to be thinking I'm going home soon, and then all of a sudden you're done at 9, and I'm just praying it doesn't happen on a Friday or a day I schedule something like this. There's that sort of thing. Obviously, I'm pushing this out, prepping. I'm pushing the kickback out, prepping the drafts. I'm hoping to get back in soon. I think it'd be quite good to get back in soon. It's just a case of when, not if, I think. But I don't know.
No, that's good.
Give us a raid and I'll do it.
I'll see what I can do.
I'll pull some strings in the background. I mean, me and after the first episode of the kickback, me and Second Yellow Card, we're friends on Discord now.
Check you out.
Me and another one. The episode hasn't come out yet. We're friends now. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I guess that seems like a good spot to end it. I think we covered some good stuff there. And again, thanks for coming on, mate.
That's absolutely fine. Like I said at the start, we've been wanting to do this for a while, haven't we? And things have just been things have been getting in the way, and we had a plan and it didn't happen, and then audio issues, and but I'm pleased I've done it. I'm honoured that you've asked me to do it. So thanks for the opportunity to come and have a chat.
Nah, no worries, mate. And I think as we're going forward, repeat guests are going to be on the cards. We'll see what happens in the future. But until that point, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Obviously, keep an eye on Friday. Like I'm not sure when exactly this vid will go out, but you can absolutely guarantee on the upcoming Friday, Wasted Possession will be doing something. Could even feature Mr. Mckins himself.
Who knows?
So yeah, again, guys, thank you very much for staying with us. Again, please do leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. And yeah, we'll catch you all next time. So bye now.